for a guilty verdict. If nothing does not happen, then we know that we've got to not only stay in the street, but we've got to fight for justice. We've got to get more confrontation. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Outrage pouring in this morning after Congresswoman Maxine Waters appeared to incite protesters in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. The California Congresswoman breaking the local curfew far from her home district.
This as tensions remain high with a verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial expected this week. Here to react is former special agent with the Secret Service and author of Becoming Bulletproof, Evy Poumpouras. Evy, thanks so much for being here. How dangerous is it that a sitting member of Congress is both encouraging fighting and confrontation, but also seeming to attack and almost threaten the court system that, look, if we don't get the verdict that we want, there could be consequences?
I think when you have a person of influence like that speaking to the public, you have to think about how is the public going to take that message, and everybody's going to take it very differently. Some people may think, okay, it means to stand up, speak up louder, but then other people will interpret that information to express more violence, to commit more violence. She's also, when you do that, you are increasing the risk of more harm happening, physical harm. So physical harm between one group protesting with another group or towards another group, then also towards law enforcement. And then by proxy, law enforcement's going to have to deal with a person who's being physically confrontational. So you have to really think about the consequences that come with that, which is more people getting hurt, possibly killed, and then on top of that, property damage. And in the end, the message of what is trying to be said, fighting for justice, making sure people's voices are heard, that gets lost amongst the violence. Now, it's not about the message, it's about what happened, who got hurt, how much property damage do we have?
Well, and she was asked whether or not she was trying to entice more violence, and she said, I'm a nonviolent person. I don't believe in violence. That being said, even if she could try and make the argument, no, I'm not trying to incite violence by saying this, isn't it all about how the message is received by the people on the streets who are out there doing this harm in their communities?
Yes, it is. It's absolutely. And that's why you have to be very thoughtful with your words, very careful with your words when you're someone like that, when you're someone in that type of position, because you're thinking about the average person. What about young people? Young people are going to interpret that information very differently. What about people with mental health issues? I remember when we worked in the Secret Service, we had so many people who would show up at the White House with a lot of mental health issues who would misinterpret information. So you're really not thinking long-term regard to that. Also, police, law enforcement is taking quite a big, morale hit. They're dealing with a lot of incidents lately. We saw recently yesterday here in the New York City, somebody throwing chemicals on police, a Molotov cocktail on police. So now this is also heightening their concerns, their safety on the street. And we're just seeing this cycle of one Trump over the other trumping something else. And we have to be really careful because this actually is adding fuel to the fire. So we need let people voice their message, let people protest, but we do need the people who lead, who are in these positions, to be mindful of what they say and how they say it. And she may mean it one way, but you also have to think, how is the listener interpreting this information?
Yeah, and you would think she would know that, too.
Yeah, right. Not surprisingly, a lot of Republicans slamming Maxine Waters. I want to focus on the first one. It's Representative Lauren Boebert. Quote, why is Maxine Waters traveling to a different state trying to incite a riot? And her point there, I think, goes to what's happening in Maxine Waters' district in Los Angeles. Look at this. Southern L.A. shooting victims, as of April 10th, up 100% in Southwest L.A., Southeast L.A., up 150%. I mean, isn't it that old adage that, when you're on a plane and it's going down, you should put your own mask on first before you, quote unquote, help others?
Yeah, thinking about the crime that's going up, we are seeing some numbers of escalating incidents. And again, it really goes back to the boldness that people are having. So when you have someone of influence, of status, saying, go ahead, be confrontational, you're giving them the okay to go ahead and do that. You're saying it's all right to use force. It's all right to retaliate towards police. It's all right to do this. And at the same time, even just hearing from former peers and people speaking, law enforcement now is less likely to want to get involved,
right,
to deal with incidents, because now you're worried, what if I do the wrong thing? What if it's interpreted as the wrong thing? And so
that's a concern.
You're going to see this almost kind of like hands-off approach. Well, I'm afraid to do my job because I'm going to be criticized in doing my job, what could end up happening.
Right. And we're seeing that all over right now. Evy Poumpouras, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.